As I've been simplifying my life over the years, one of the most powerful concepts that I've come across and employed is this idea that what we stop doing can help us even more than what we add in. This week, I'm sharing 21 things I didn't do to reach my ideal weight in my 40s and to stay there in my 50s, and many of which go against the grain of conventional weight loss strategies. Welcome to Joyful Eating for Menopause, episode 252. I'm Jules Clancy, and this week I'm talking about 21 things I didn't do to reach my ideal weight in my 40s. But before we get to that, the best bite I had for Christmas bought myself a book on making tacos by a guy called Trejo, who has a group of restaurants in LA called Trejo's Tacos. And it's been really fun exploring Mexican cuisine. And I had a goal to make every recipe out of the book or make every one of the things out of the book. And on the weekend, he uses brisket, but I actually had beef short ribs. I did them instead and slow cooked them with tomato and some cumin and coriander and some spices. It was meant to have chili in it, but I left that out of the tacos. And then I made a chipotle mayonnaise to have with that. My Irishman and I could have the spice, and the boys didn't have to have spice if they didn't want to. And I served it with mini tortillas for the boys. And then I had mine with shredded cabbage and coriander, cilantro chopped up through it. And the rich beef was melt in the mouth on top of the cabbage, and then with the heat of the chipotle mayo, it was so delicious. Yeah, I love Mexican flavors. It's so good, that smokiness, that bit of warmth without it being too much. Fun. Okay, story behind this week's episode is a few weeks ago, I had a new group of Naturally Healthy Club start, and on the first lesson, one of the things I do is I share with them this really long list of the things that we don't do in Naturally Healthy Club to be at a healthy weight. And I was marveling. My goodness, there's a lot of things here. And also at the same time, I've been really in my life, really looking at rediscovering simplicity and inspired by my friend Courtney Carper, who has a great book called Gentle. And in that, one of the big pillars that she has is simplifying. And I've been reconnected with how powerful it is to have less things in our lives, less things that we're doing, less stuff, and less expectations on ourselves. It's so helpful. For all those reasons, I was like, yeah, let's talk about the 21 things I didn't do to reach my ideal weight in my 40s. Number one, and probably the most helpful, is I don't feel shame or guilt for anything I ate. I decided a long time ago that there are no bad foods, and if I overeat, that's part of our programming as humans. That wiring to overeat when food is abundant has kept us alive for a long time. There's the fact that we have that drive doesn't make me a bad person. Anytime I overeat now, of course I have a bit of a joke with myself. Oh, why did I do that? But there's no shame there's no guilt around it. It's, I need to learn that lesson again about how this doesn't feel good, but I don't make myself feel bad about it. That is so important. And the shame really is optional. If you're still stuck in that where you feel bad, you feel shame or guilt for anything you've eaten, I really invite you to let that go and remind yourself, I'm a human. We were designed to overeat in times of abundance. It kept us alive. Nothing's gone wrong here. This is part of my wiring. It's not such a helpful wiring strategy in our modern life. That's okay. If you only take one thing from this episode, take that. Okay, next thing I didn't do is give up any of the food that I love. There's a space, again, with this idea there's no bad food, there's a space for all different types of food in your life. And it's not so much what we're eating that causes us to struggle with our weight, it's how much. You can have potato chips, you can have cookies. It's how much you're having of that in the context of your whole day that determines whether it's a problem for your weight or not. There's no need to give up anything to be at a healthy weight. Next thing is we don't moralize. No seeing food as good or bad. Food is food. Some foods have strength. They're providing more nutrition. Some foods provide taste. Some foods provide nostalgia. there's a lot of different things that we can, or comfort, and that can be valid. It doesn't make those foods, if something's only providing comfort, doesn't mean that it's bad. It's we want to be mindful of how much we're having of that in the context of how much we're eating throughout the day. Number 4 is I don't tell anyone in the Naturally Healthy Club what they should be eating. And also, I don't look to outside sources to tell me, to dictate to me, you should eat these things and avoid these things. Instead, I trust my body and I listen to what feels good to me. And I eat more of the things that feel good to me when I eat them and less of the stuff that doesn't feel good to me, trusting my body to guide me on that. I didn't really change what I was eating. That's another thing that I encourage people in the Naturally Healthy Club, because generally what we're having isn't the problem, it's how much. And there's no need to do some crazy overhaul of our diet. We can still keep eating the same types of food, focusing on reducing the quantity of those. That helps get the weight to fall into place. It's one less thing to worry about if you keep eating what you're currently eating. Of course, sometimes you may feel inspired to add in a few more vegetables or some more protein, which, of course, if that feels good to you, do, but don't feel like you have to change what you're eating to get to a healthy weight. Number 6 is no picking when cooking. That used to be one of my kryptonite things. I'd be in the kitchen cooking all afternoon, having a great time, but tasting, sampling, grabbing random bites. And of course, that meant that I'd sit down to my meal and I wasn't really hungry at all. But I would still eat the meal because I'd already made it. By me working on that habit, and it's not that I completely stopped picking, I still do. Like I'm chopping up some cabbage, but I did snacked on the cabbage that I was talking about with the beef short ribs, and I did taste the beef as it was cooking. I am still tasting things, but it's not random picking where I'm eating so much that it's too much. I feel stuffed at the end. I'm being strategic and intentional around how much that I eat when I'm cooking. Okay, number 7 is exercising more. There's a heap of research around this that increasing exercise doesn't lead to weight loss. And was a study done in Sweden where they took a group of sedentary couch potatoes and trained them up over 18 months to run a marathon. And in that group, I think the men on average lost 1 kilo, 2 pounds, and the women on average did not lose any weight at all. They stayed the same. And that's going from completely sedentary to running 42 kilometers. And that was my experience of when I ran a marathon as well. I thought I was going to lose some weight, surely, because I was running 100 kilometers a week, but it didn't. The research is clear on that. And the other reason why I really strongly recommend not changing your exercise to lose weight is because that's a whole nother set of habits and routines and things to think about, and it adds too much complexity. We just leave the exercise. Exercise is exercise. Of course, there are a million of other different reasons to change your movement and increase your movement, but weight loss isn't one of them. For the purpose of losing weight, you want to just leave that. And it just simplifies so much because then you're just focusing on the food going in. Number 8 is we don't restrict. What that means is that I didn't try and eat a calorie deficit. I didn't leave the table feeling hungry. Instead of restricting, I let myself feel satisfied at mealtimes. And it's something I still continue to do. And that's super important because when we restrict and deny ourselves, A, it's miserable, but B, it increases our psychological hunger, it increases that desire for food, and it causes us to overeat in the future. The way we turn that off is by letting ourselves feel satisfied at mealtimes. Number 9, no skipping meals or doing crazy fasting. That's something that I used to do a lot of. For me, these days, I've just listened to the rhythm of eating that feels good to me. I don't have breakfast, but I don't see that as skipping a meal because I'm not hungry at breakfast time. My rhythm of my day is I have lunch, I have an afternoon snack, and then I have dinner. And I'm not doing any 36 or 72-hour fasts that I used to do or anything like that. Even if I'm not feeling super hungry, even dinner time, I'll still give my body the opportunity to eat so I can stay in that circadian rhythm. No crazy fasting. And what I found when I used to do the crazy fasts, first of all, it was miserable, but you would be so hungry and you'd end up overeating to compensate. Yeah, the weight would come down, but then it would go straight back up. So it was kind of a waste of time. Number 10, the other thing I don't do is being overly permissive. That's one of the things when we're trying not to restrict, and then that can be a trap. Oh, I don't want to restrict. Here I am having my third croissant. I do have boundaries with myself around basically sugar and alcohol. That just helps me find this balance. But yeah, I do have desserts on usually Saturday night and Sunday night, but I'm not letting myself have dessert every single night. It's okay to have some boundaries with yourself, because you don't want to, when we're overly permissive, then that can cause problems in its own way. Number 11, no overeating healthy stuff. This is something I used to do. Oh, it's broccoli, it's good for me. No, if it's too much food, it's too much food. It doesn't matter if it's broccoli or your Twinkies. Too much food is too much food. No free foods, no overeating healthy stuff. Number 12, no eating with screens or distractions. This is something that I probably didn't do a lot of anyway. I love to enjoy my food, but if you do eat in front of a screen, if that's something that you really love, of course, keep doing it. However, it does make it harder to get the amount of food right because your brain's distracted. It's almost like you haven't eaten, and you would have had that experience of eating popcorn in the movies and then your hands hitting the bottom of the tub and, oh, I don't feel like I've had anything. So if you are open to it, I highly recommend eating without distractions so that you get to enjoy and it's easier to check in with your body. Number 13, no scarcity thinking around food, no FOMO, and no telling myself I'm going to be restricting in the future. Instead, I love to approach food from this beautiful, abundant mindset of, yep, there's going to be plenty of amazing food in my future. So there's no need for me to overeat now because I'm going to, even for Christmas, I'm going to enjoy beautiful, delicious food tomorrow. There's going to be delicious food the next day. And then it just removes that desire to overeat. Number 14, no obsessing, thinking about food all the time. I definitely wasn't planning out detailed menu lists or doing whatever. There was no need to obsess. Yep, when it's mealtime, I think about foods, but when it's not mealtime, I'm not. And I think letting ourselves be satisfied at mealtime rather than restricting, that number 8, that really helps turn off that obsession, turn off that thinking about it all the time habit. Number 15, I didn't expect rapid weight loss. When I started listening to my body, I actually didn't have any expectations around losing weight. And it was a slow, gradual thing. And that's what people see when I work with people in the Naturally Healthy Club. That's what happens. You like doing some juice fast and you're dropping all this weight. It's happening on a slow level, but slow is sustainable. So much more enjoyable to do it that way. And then when you know that, oh, this is the last time I'll have to lose this weight, it's really a much nicer way to approach it rather than expecting and putting this pressure on ourselves to see that number dropping rapidly. Number 16 is not being afraid of failing. Whenever I do overeat, and I still do, even though I've been able to listen to my body for years and years now, there are still times where I overeat and I don't ever see that as failure. I go, that's my reminder that this feels really crap. I don't want to do this. But I think it is helpful to still have those really full days because it makes us feel deep satisfaction of, yep, food's abundant. We don't need to overeat. And what I teach people in the Naturally Healthy Club is that there's no failing, there's only learning. It's whenever something happens, then we either get the result that we want or there's something to learn and we can take that lesson. Number 17, no comparing and despairing. I was on my own journey. I wasn't comparing myself to other people and seeing how fast they were going or whatever, or were they doing a better job at it. I was focused on me, taking care of me and doing the best that I could on any given day and learning from that. Because when we see other people, we always assume that everyone's doing it better than us. Staying in your own lane and staying focused on you was really helpful. Number 18, I didn't expect myself to be perfect. And the thought that I have around that is I don't have to do this perfectly. And I certainly am not perfect with my eating. And I think that's a really beautiful way to be, where there are still times where I overeat, and that's part of the balance and the rhythm of my life. Number 19, no starting again on Monday or starting again next season or starting again tomorrow. Anytime where I'm starting to overeat and I have this mindset that I can choose again in any moment because I've started this now doesn't mean I need to finish it. I can check in, do I really want this? And if I don't, then I can stop. And that is much more helpful than what can happen instead is we get that dieting, what the hell effect is. I've ruined the day. I'm going to start again on Monday. We don't want to do that. What we want to do instead is remind yourself, no, I can choose again any moment. And what would feel good to me now? What choice can I make? Number 20, we're almost there. I don't clean my plate all the time. Sometimes there are times where, yep, the amount of food that I've served out is the right amount for me, but generally I'm greedy and I serve myself out more than my body or my brain actually needs. And so breaking up with that clean plate mentality was helpful. Being willing to either throw the food out or put it in aside for later is so helpful. And then number 21, which you may not expect, is I didn't miss out on the comfort of food. So rather than comforting myself with food as this bad thing, actually changing my narrative around it and giving myself permission to use food for comfort, but being intentional around it, serving myself out and being intentional, having a boundary around the quantity so that I'm not eating way more than I needed. And because there's nothing inherently wrong with comforting with food, right? And if you think about it, that's how we're raised as children and babies. Even in the womb, babies suckle their thumb. So it's part of our wiring to be soothed by putting things in our mouths. I think from that perspective, it's okay to do it. We want to have some boundaries around it so that we're not doing it all the time and overeating copious amounts of food in that time. But it can be a nice thing to do. And actually, one thing a habit that I have is love drinking tea. Having that hot tea, putting that in my mouth can feel as comforting as having a cookie. Okay, so that was a lot. All those things that you can let go of. But what I would encourage you is to think of what is something that you could let go. Can you give yourself permission to stop telling yourself I should be exercising more and make that decision that no, I'm going to focus on the food. Or maybe it's the shame and guilt thing of, yeah, telling yourself you shouldn't be doing it and instead practicing radical acceptance of, yep, whatever I eat and that's okay. And if you'd like to find out what we do in the Naturally Healthy Club, then check out my free class. It's a free online on-demand training, and it's called The Secret to Eating What You Want and Feeling Good in Your Clothes. So you know what we don't do, but this class is going to show you exactly what we do. So have a beautiful week. Oh, yeah, and check out the link in the show notes if you want to get access to the free class. So, yeah, have a fantastic week, giving yourself permission to let go of all those things, and I'll catch you next week.